Welcome to Rising Resilience, a Beyond the Blog podcast generously funded by the Patterson Foundation. We're here to share insights from our community preparedness, recovery, and resiliency initiative and more. In each episode, we'll explore the disaster space in our area and how people, organizations, and government entities are working together to establish a resilient Suncoast region. My name is Leah Verrier-Dunn, a consultant with the Patterson Foundation and your host today as we get introduced to the Community Preparedness, Recovery, and Resiliency, or CPR-R initiative. To help us understand the impetus behind this work and the aspirations ahead is the Patterson Foundation's President and CEO, Deborah Jacobs. Deborah, welcome to Rising Resilience. Thanks so much for being here today.
Leah, it's going to be a superb interview.
So I want to start with a little bit of history. Can you share with us a little bit about why TPF is involved in the disaster space?
Well, I'm going to go back to our origins when we were funded 14 years ago. And Mrs. Patterson created this foundation with an unfettered charter. And what does that mean? It means we have no directive in terms of geography or issue or organization, which is typical for foundations. So when you have an unfettered charter, Mrs. Patterson gave us great flexibility, opportunity, and responsibility to do good and to do it well. So the Patterson Foundation decided, the governing board, after we developed our values and bought our pencils and created a chart of accounts, that we would work through initiatives. And those initiatives, they evolve, they start, they plateau, we end them, we continue them, depending on what they are. But while we're doing all of our initiatives, disasters happen. And whether they're man-made disasters, whether they're Mother Nature disasters, we know as people, we must be part of where we live and where we work and where we play. So actually, back during those formative years with the Patterson Foundation, the very first expenditure they made was for disasters. So just because they happen and we wanted to demonstrate. So over the years, we have worked with, again, one of TPF's procedures or processes is we look for national leaders so that we can learn from the best and brightest with proven practices that we can bring here locally, do really well on fostering our wide participation, and then send good things back up to our national partners. So the disaster space has, one of our early partners was with the Center for Disaster Philanthropy. Actually, we were one of the founders from the idea, it's an idea to create this national font of brilliance, because very basically, disaster philanthropy can be some of the worst philanthropy, because oftentimes generosity sparks quick action, and it may not be the best action. So by working with the Center for Disaster Philanthropy, we've learned about the importance of preparedness. Yes, response is very important, but it's that recovery and resiliency that is so absolutely critical. And after disaster leaves the media, people tend to forget about it. But the victims, the communities and people, they're living it for months and years to come. So long answer, we're in disaster because they happen. Okay.
That's a fair answer.
Sure.
How has the way we've funded this space evolved over time?
Yeah, so again, at the Patterson Foundation, we think of our role as the value beyond the check. So absolutely, the money is important, but it's also the what else can we do in terms of education, in terms of strengthening organizations with time and energy and proven practices. So there's a couple of paths that actually have evolved over time. So in the response department. Got to do something, okay? With our partners at the Community Foundation of Sarasota County, fortunately, now in its 26th year, Season of Sharing exists. And this is an opportunity, it's kind of a misnomer because it happens during a Season of Sharing year-end through January, but people can donate to it all year long. And the essence of Season of Sharing is neighbors helping neighbors. So anybody can be a philanthropist by contributing to the Community Foundation. The Community Foundation works with trusted partners who help individuals. Season of Sharing is only for individuals in an emergency economic situation. So again, over time, it's expanded to include disaster response. Mm-hmm. So a person who's in a disaster situation, while they're waiting for FEMA or their insurance companies, or they just have neither, they could apply through fiscal agents to get Season of Sharing funds. So TPF, one of our roles is to catalyze philanthropy with matches. So in the world of Season of Sharing, our role there is every time the community invests $500,000, we donate $100,000. And in the informed risk bravery of our governing board, we put no cap on that. So us saying, let's do it together, and we'll heighten community year impact with our 100,000s.
I love that approach. It really dives into building our connective tissue as individual philanthropists, as funders, and I think it really helps community members feel a part of something, because we never know when we might be the one that's affected. So to be a part of that, mission forward is really wonderful. Will you help our listeners understand how you define preparedness, resiliency, recovery, and why you chose CPR-R specifically to focus on those areas? Yeah.
So, in the We Have Learned department, that, again, thank you, Center for Disaster Philanthropy, that disasters happen to everyone. And as much as we talk about preparedness, we're really never prepared. I mean, we can be. Some people are very prepared, but communities need to do much more in terms of being prepared. I want to use an example of us living preparedness at the Patterson Foundation. Back when Ian did his work in destroying communities, we worked again with the Community Foundation to create this Suncoast Disaster Recovery Fund, okay? And again, TPF made a contribution, but also did a match. And that's in not the immediate, but the long-term recovery. So we have been part of, so we've got Season of Sharing over here, we've got Suncoast Disaster Recovery Fund over here. And then there's we help raise money for both of those, but what should the Patterson Foundation be doing? And that takes us back and beyond the money, the value. And this is how CPR-R has emerged. So the Community Preparedness, Response, and Resiliency Initiative. And I have to say, I'm very excited on how it is evolving, because it is embodying fostering wide participation. And it's just beautiful to watch how it's coming out. And I'm hoping you're going to ask me a question about that at some time during this interview.
I will.
Okay.
That actually leads in well. We know that resiliency is a shared aspiration, or all three of these things are shared aspirations amongst all of our residents that live here. And no matter what someone might be invested in, whether it's children or education, animals, real estate, tourism, all of those things, we know that disasters don't have any boundaries and no one is immune from the potential effects. Knowing that, who are the important stakeholders in this work in our area, and what do those roles look like when we talk about fostering wide participation?
Yeah, so we always need to remember when we're thinking about stakeholders that we keep a lens over here of people, business, nonprofits, government, and media. In each one of those sectors, when they are focused on something together around a shared possibility, incredibly good things can happen. If we don't have all of those sectors working or talking about something, good can happen, but it might not be incredible good. So we always want to keep going, is everybody at the table talking about this? In the world of local disasters, there's something called a COAD. And a COAD is very government, organizational focused. And it is about, okay, we got all the systems in place. Do we have the communications plans in place? What are we going to do in preparation? What are we going to do when it happens? So that's a COAD, COAD. But COADs can be beautifully complemented by C.E.R.Ts. And C.E.R.Ts are a community emergency response team, and it's right in the neighborhood. So when we think about roles, neighborhoods, those are definitely people. Okay, COADs are more organizations, government, nonprofits, businesses, and the media should be keeping everybody informed of what's going on. Yeah.
Can you share a little bit more about what a C.E.R.T team might do and how we are involved in strengthening that piece of this space?
Yeah, so again, whenever we have an idea, we always say who else cares and what's possible. C.E.R.Ts aren't new. They've been around. There's actually a nice little structure that a neighborhood, I want people to, when they hear the word C.E.R.T, I want them to come right down to the neighborhood level. This is not a big bureaucratic thing. It's, again, neighbors helping neighbors, okay? And why this resonates with the Patterson Foundation is this widespread participation. Now, with a C.E.R.T, I want us to get real. Neighborhoods that may be asset-rich tend to have C.E.R.Ts because they've got the time, they've got the energy, they have the resources to put a C.E.R.T together. Let me back up and get to your question because I wandered a little bit. But a C.E.R.T is really where the neighborhood comes together to learn about each other's capacity. It literally is neighbors going door to door. Now, do you live here alone? What are your preparedness needs? What's your evacuation plan? Finding out what your neighbors have, that's preparedness. So that when a disaster happens, they now know, we better quick go to this house first. That house, they're not even here anyway. We'll get to them eventually. So it's one of those time is the non-renewable resource. And when disasters happen, you want to be able to be as effective as you possibly can. So who has a C.E.R.T? Anybody can have a C.E.R.T. But we have watched how some neighborhoods have strong C.E.R.Ts. In other neighborhoods, my little heart goes, you too could have a C.E.R.T, but you may not have the bandwidth. You may not have the time, the energy to do it. So how do we help you learn about what you can do? And perhaps we can learn from the strong C.E.R.Ts. But I want to go down to the very basic level. A C.E.R.T can do more than just an emergency response. It's there for when that neighbor has a health episode and they can see the ambulance pulled up. What else how could we be helpful? So it strengthens the community fabric in incredibly strong ways. In another initiative that the Patterson Foundation we have right now in Aspirations to Action, we have these new Civic Path Forward book circles. And I love it that during the 3 sessions of people coming together to read this book about shaping our future, that C.E.R.Ts actually came up in one of the book circles. And I thought, this is so good. We've got some nice cross-pollination going on.
It also reminds me of the saying that change happens at the speed of trust, because when we silo ourselves into just our little neighborhood and we don't realize that there's other trusted resources we can rely on, it's very hard to propel a neighborhood forward or a community forward. But with this idea, it sounds like CPR-R is sort of reaching across to the other communities and other counties in our Suncoast region and saying, why don't we communicate more as CERT organizations and see what's possible? And when a community that might be have less assets sees that cross-reaching happening, there might be a little bit more trust to ask for help to take those next steps in creating something for their neighborhood.
And I look at, picture a fish net. Okay, you're going out fishing and, it's a net, but, some fish get caught, a lot go through. If we can help weave relationships and awareness and resources, maybe that fish net could become a tapestry as we tighten up and we get to know each other. So, and in the world of, fishermen love fish nets, but in terms of beauty, I'd rather have a tapestry on my wall than a fish net. So, yes.
I love that visual of the tapestry. And, with every thread, it gets stronger and stronger, and then it has the ability to support.
And every thread is different and distinct. We are not homogeneous. We are all different, but the gifts people can bring to the conversation.
I love that. I know that we are hosting a CERT summit day in January. Will you share a little bit about the intention behind that?
Sure. Well, in the world of the Patterson Foundation, where we have our 5s, connect, learn, share, evolve, strengthen, closest, in July 29, our CPR-R team hosted, and you were one of the moderators, well done, but hosted a breakfast of disaster champions where we invited leaders, CERT leaders, emergency management team leaders, to come together for a discovery session. And it was energizing that people from all 4 counties came, facilitated table conversations. People got to already meet others they didn't meet, reconnect with others. And we said to them, we want to do this summit in January 29th, 6 months exactly from today, where we want to I have high aspirations, at least 5 times as many people as at the Breakfast of Disaster Champions at the CERT Summit, so that people, again, can come and learn and share. So whether you are the best CERT in the region or your neighborhood is going, what is this CERT? What is the CERT? Should I come? Hopefully neighbors, people, and leaders from all 4 counties will be there again to learn and share. And as I'm watching the logistics for the day, I'm pretty darn excited about the keynote plenary that I will not reveal at this moment. But I certainly hope people are going to pay attention.
I also am very excited about that, but I'll keep my lips sealed until the time is right. That talking about that sort of leads me to my next question. What, in general, are your big aspirations for this initiative? Where do you see us headed?
Well, I'm going to go back to we have to measure outputs and outcomes. All right. So looking at how many people are participating in a conversation, how many CERTs exist in our 4-county area, and then really tracking, we're more formed. Okay, we're more strengthened. So, you could be a powerhouse, but you could already be a small nascent CERT that wants to get stronger. So measuring what happened because of it in terms of numbers, those would be outputs. But the best part are the ripple effects. And that's the outcomes. What changed because of this? All right. Were we able to perhaps save lives quicker? Save lives. Maybe we could recover a little faster. Maybe we could have built more preparedness for the future. So I think the ripple effects are yes, we have to do these things, but as you said, change happens at the speed of trust, and we're creating new realities. We don't know what they are, but let's being open to it. And we like to say at the Patterson Foundation, we're looking for possibilitarians who want to work together to create a future for all.
I love that. I think our Breakfast of Disaster Champions proved that there's a lot of possibilitarians in our region and a lot of people who are looking for more, but needed a catalyst like the Patterson Foundation to help foster the efforts they were going for. I really am looking forward to the summit and everything that's going to come from this initiative. Is there anything else that's important that you feel our listeners need to know that we haven't talked about today?
Well, I'm going to go back to how each one of us, at whatever our role is, has a responsibility not only for our own personal well-being, our family, our neighbors' well-being, but we have a responsibility to the world. So when we come at things from a what's possible lens, even in the most heartbreaking disasters, there's so much that can come out of we're stronger because we work together. So I hope our listeners will think, who else cares? How can I get involved? I can do that. And see how they want to plug in.
Deborah, thank you so much for joining me today. Strengthening our community's resilience is important for each of us that live here and that play here in the Suncoast. And we just appreciate you sharing more about the Patterson Foundation's efforts behind the CPR-R initiative. So thank you for being here.
You're welcome. And Leah, it's because you're part of the CPR-R team. We are in good hands.
Thank you. Listeners, to learn more about the work of this initiative and others, please visit thepattersonfoundation.org.